Today, let's talk about something that feels impossible to ignore anymore. We're living in a world where everything moves and changes so fast that it feels like we've entered a new chapter of human history. Technology is accelerating. Civilization is also evolving quicker than we can even keep up with or fully process what's going on. For thousands of years, human civilization moved slowly. Entire generations lived and died without seeing meaningful technological change. A farmer in the year 1200 lived almost the same way as a farmer in the year 900. Then suddenly, 1903, the first airplane flight. 1969, man lands on the moon. A few decades later, the internet connects the entire planet. And now? Just in the last 2 years, only 2 years, artificial intelligence went from a buzzword to something that is writing code, generating human faces, creating films, voices, music, and even conversations. Some AI systems can now outperform humans in some tasks we once thought were uniquely ours. And this all exploded in just a few years. And here's what really hit me when I finally let it sink in. A Jewish prophet living in Babylon over 2,500 years ago described this moment. Not in metaphors, he spelled it out in clear terms. A future moment where human movement would dramatically accelerate, and knowledge would explode across the entire planet Earth. And the angel who gave him the message told him to seal it up, because it wasn't for his time. Was this ancient prophecy actually describing the age of AI we are seeing today? Is this the unprecedented explosion of knowledge we're living through right now? Let's go through it together and see what Scripture has to say. Today we're talking about Daniel chapter 12, verse 4. And we're going to check whether it refers to artificial intelligence and information explosion we are seeing today. But before we get into the verse, let me give you just a little context on Daniel, because it's very important. Daniel is one of the most astonishing prophetic voices in history. He lived about 600 years before Jesus. As a young man, he was taken captive to Babylon, and over time, he served in the courts of powerful kings and empires. And during those years, God gave him some of the clearest and most specific prophecies in Scripture, prophecies that line up with real, recorded history. For example, Daniel prophesied the rise of the Greek Empire under Alexander the Great more than 200 years before it happened. He also described how Alexander's kingdom would be split into 4 parts after his death, divided among 4 leaders. He even laid out the order of major world empires, Babylon, Persia, Greece, and Rome, with so much detail that some critics have claimed the book must have been written after those events. Otherwise, how could it be that accurate? That's why Daniel chapter 12 is so interesting. In that chapter, the message stops focusing on ancient empires and starts pointing forward, toward a much later time and a world unlike anything humanity had experienced before. Daniel chapter 12 verse 4 is the verse. It says, "But you, Daniel, shut up the words and seal the book until the time of the end. Many shall run to and fro, and knowledge shall be increased." Now let's break this down phrase by phrase, because every word matters here. The angel first tells Daniel, "Shut up the words and seal the book." In other words, this message is not primarily for your generation. That alone is remarkable. Daniel was being shown realities that would only become fully understandable in a future era when the conditions it described were actually present. Until the time of the end. There it is. The angel was talking about the time of the end, a distinct period on God's prophetic calendar. And here comes the description. Many shall run to and fro. The Hebrew root here, shoot, means to rush or to move rapidly in every direction. Now think about Daniel's world for a moment. During that time, most people would never have traveled farther than a few miles from where they were born. Let's then compare that to our world today. Millions of people cross continents every single day. Flights circle the planet non-stop. And human movement has now become a constant reality. And then comes the line that feels almost impossible to ignore. Knowledge shall increase. Not slowly, not gradually, but expand dramatically. The Hebrew word rabbah implies a dramatic increase, an explosion. And maybe the most astonishing part is this. No generation in history fits that description more literally than ours. None. Let me give you some numbers that are going to be hard to process. For most of human history, knowledge grew slowly, very slowly. A person living in the year 1700 could realistically learn most of the scientific knowledge available in the world at that time. Today, that's impossible. The amount of information humanity now generates in a single day is overwhelming. Researchers estimate that modern civilization creates quintillions of bytes of data daily. And now AI systems are being trained on that information. Think about that carefully. We are no longer just storing knowledge. We are building systems capable of processing knowledge faster than human beings can. And this is happening at breathtaking speed. ChatGPT reached 100 million users faster than any major technology platform in history. Daniel called it. He didn't have the vocabulary for neural networks or large language models, but he saw the reality. He saw a moment when knowledge would multiply in a way that had never happened before in human history. And he was told, that moment is the time of the end. But here's the unsettling question. What happens when humanity gains godlike knowledge without godly wisdom? That may be the real crisis of our time. Now let's be careful. Daniel 12:4 does not explicitly mention artificial intelligence. It doesn't say computers. It doesn't say algorithms. It doesn't say robots. And responsible Bible interpretation matters. But here's what I can confidently say. The conditions Daniel described, rapid movement of people and an unprecedented explosion of knowledge, have never been more literally true than they are right now. Not even close. No other generation in human history could look at Daniel 12:4 and say, yes, that describes our moment. But now, we can. Artificial intelligence may not be the prophecy itself, but it may be one of the clearest manifestations of the knowledge explosion Daniel saw. And the deeper issue is not technological, it's spiritual. Because humanity has always struggled with power. The Tower of Babel was not just a building project, it was humanity attempting advancement without dependence on God. And sometimes I wonder if we're watching that same impulse reappear in digital form. A civilization racing toward unprecedented capability, while becoming increasingly disconnected from wisdom, truth, and moral stability. Proverbs 14:12 says, "There is a way that seems right to a man, but its end is the way of death." We are building systems of extraordinary power with very little agreement on what values they should hold. That's not a tech problem, that's a spiritual problem. Daniel 12:4 doesn't stand alone. When you start looking, the rest of Scripture starts painting a much larger picture of what the last days actually might look like. Jesus himself, in Matthew 24:22, said, "And unless those days were shortened, no flesh would be saved. But for the elect's sake, those days will be shortened." For centuries, that sounded symbolic. Today, humanity genuinely possesses technologies capable of global destruction. Nuclear weapons, biotechnology, cyber warfare, and so much more. For the first time in history, mankind has the capacity to damage civilization on a global scale. Then look at Revelation 13:17. No one may buy or sell except one who has the mark. For centuries, people read that and couldn't figure out the mechanism. How do you control the buying and selling of every person on Earth simultaneously? The technology for that didn't exist. Today, digital currencies exist. Programmable financial systems exist. The infrastructure is no longer in theory. And then there's this. 2 Timothy 3 describes the psychology of the last days. But know this, that in the last days perilous times will come. For men will be lovers of themselves, lovers of money, boasters, proud, blasphemers. That verse feels strangely modern, because social media, itself a product of the information explosion, has created entire systems built around self-promotion, image, performance, and validation. Paul saw the culture. He just didn't know the delivery system would fit inside a smartphone. And here's what concerns me most about where we are right now. And it's not the technology itself, it's the speed. Human civilization has never experienced transformation this rapidly before. The printing press reshaped society over centuries. The Industrial Revolution unfolded across generations. Even the internet gave humanity time to adapt. AI is moving at a pace that feels almost unimaginable. Every year, the systems become more capable, more integrated, more influential. And meanwhile, wisdom is not increasing at the same rate. That's the danger. Because knowledge and wisdom are not the same thing. The Bible never condemns knowledge, but it repeatedly warns about power disconnected from moral truth. Ecclesiastes 1:18 says, "For in much wisdom is much grief, and he who increases knowledge increases sorrow." And Proverbs says, "The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom." Not intelligence, not information, but wisdom. We are living in a moment of maximum knowledge and minimum wisdom. And that gap may become one of the defining dangers of the modern age. So where does all of this leave us? Because I don't want you to walk away from this video afraid of artificial intelligence. I don't want you to move into the mountains and disappear off-grid. That's not the point. Technology itself is not the enemy. The issue has never simply been tools. The issue is always the human heart holding the tools. The same technology that can spread deception can also spread truth. The same internet that floods the world with confusion can also place scripture into places where missionaries may never physically go. So this is a call to awareness. For thousands of years, people read that Daniel verse without fully understanding how it could literally happen. But now, we don't have that problem anymore. We are living in the first generation in history where knowledge is exploding globally, where technology is reshaping civilization in real time. And maybe that realization should humble us. Because in a world that is becoming increasingly artificial, our relationship with God becomes even more important. Hebrews 6:19 says, "This hope we have as an anchor of the soul, both sure and steadfast." I love that verse because an anchor only matters during storms. And maybe that's exactly where humanity is heading, an age of incredible advancement, paired with incredible instability. But anchored people survive unstable times differently, only because they know the one who stands above history itself. Daniel was told to seal the book, because the generation meant to truly recognize the signs had not arrived yet. But now, Daniel 12:4 might no longer feel distant. And this leaves us with a bigger question. What kind of people should we become in a world like this? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Kindly subscribe for more conversations like this. Until next time, God bless.